Okay, in this next video here, we're going to talk about the Office Interview Paper Audit. Now, this section is going to take longer to go through and talk about than the previous two. There's quite a bit going on in that part of the audit, as well as the field interview. So I may separate this video into two parts, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and press this next section. By the way, as you're completing your audit, you don't have to, complete the inventory first, followed by the paper audit, then the field interview. You can jump around. You can finish them in any order. You can partially complete one section and go back to it and finish it later. So don't feel constrained by how this is set up here. So I'm going to go ahead and press Office Interview Paper. And here are the 10 folder names I had entered at the beginning of the process. We'll go ahead and go to the first folder. And the first question says, does the contractor have the paper collection form for this interview? So we're going to pretend for this specific folder that the contractor has all the paper. And do they have the authorization form? Yes or no? I'm going to click or press yes. On my phone, right? I do that with my finger. Yeah, I'm just using my mouse, of course. And then tell us, how many pages does that collection form have? Let's say there were 4. How many RINs, or how many names are there on the paper? And let's see, with 4 pages, we're probably looking at, I don't know, be 86 names. And then what age is on the collection form for the informant? And that typically is found right at the top part of the collection form. So we'll say it was marked 55 years old. Does the contractor have the QCP checklist for this interview? We'll say yes. And then because we marked yes on all these, the app will ask us to take some photos. So for smaller interviews, like 4 pages or under, we always take 4 photos. So we'll have to take a photo of each page here in this case. If we have a larger interview, it will randomly select 4 pages. So, if we have an interview with 10 pages, it may ask you to take a photo of page 10, page 6, page 2, and page 1, something like that. So I'm going to take a photo of page 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording as I'm taking a photo of each section, just to save some time. And I'll be right back after all the photos have been taken. Okay, I took a photo of each page of the collection form. And we're actually not done with the photos. It also asks me to take a photo of the QCP checklist. So 4 photos of the collection form and then 1 photo of the checklist. Just do that real quick. Pretend I have my phone pointed at the checklist paper and that I've taken a picture of it. As you take these photos, try your best to make them not be blurry. Right? We want to be able to tell what it is you've taken a picture of. So if you can tell once you've taken the photo that it's blurry, please retake it. And then you have some optional info here. I'm going to leave that blank. Let's say I don't have anything to talk about. So I'm going to click on the check mark to complete that specific folder. Brings me back to the menu, and I can move on to the second interview. And we're going to say that maybe they don't have any of the forms. Okay, I'm going to select no, they don't have the paper collection form and they don't have the authorization form. But you'll notice that it still asks me how many pages there are in the collection form. So part of the new audit process is I will send you digital copies of the collection forms in case the contractor does not have the papers. Once in a while, we've run into that problem where a contractor lost the papers, or there was a fire or a flood and everything was gone. So we'll send that to you. So you'll still be able to tell us or enter into the app. Here's the number of pages. So I think we had, let's pretend there were 6 pages. We'll see there were 120 names. The informant was 60 years old. And then does the contractor have the QCP checklist? We'll mark no. And it doesn't ask you why the other 2 forms are not available. And maybe we'll update the app to have that. It's probably a good idea. But for these, if you say no, it'd be good to maybe add those notes here in the additional info section. The fire at the office burned all their papers. Okay. So we'll just say that. And then I'm done with this interview. We don't have any photos to take. Okay. And then we go down to the 3rd interview, and you know, that could be a different combination. Perhaps they have the collection form, but not the authorization form. Let's see, maybe there are 10 pages. There were 202 names. The informant was 70 years old. Maybe they didn't have the QCP checklist. So it's still going to ask us to take photos. I'm going to go ahead and take a photo. I'm going to pause and come back after the photos are taken. Okay, I just took all the photos. Page 1, page 10, page 7, and page 9. I took a photo of the checklist. If you recall, we marked that no, they didn't have the authorization form. So I'm going to maybe write down here on the optional notes why there was no authorization form. Contractor says they lost the authorization form. I'm going to hit the check mark. And we're going to keep going there for all 10 interviews. So I'm not going to bore you with doing that here in this video. As I've previously been doing, I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to finish these additional interviews and then show you what happens. But let's say if I click the back button here and I need to come back and finish later, it will show us here that we're partially done, right? So it says 38%. I can go back in and then continue. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I've completed all 10 interviews or folders with the, the same questions we just went through. And I've gotten a check mark on all of them. So I'm going to hit the back button. Take us back to our main menu, and we have 100% finished on here. So we've completed 2 sections. So we'll go ahead and stop the video here. It actually only took about 9 minutes to do, so that's great. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next section as part of a separate video.